Okay, so the indispensable PMO. Look, short webinar. Hopefully, we're not going to make it kind of a detailed in terms of drilling down. There are a few concepts that we would like to share with you today on really talking about the role of the PMO and how the PMO would. It's actually very, very important in terms of organizational ability to execute on strategy. But before you actually do that, how you transition your PMO from what we see as a kind of an administrative function in many organizations, and obviously we're not talking about certain PMOs. Your PMO might not be seen internally as an administrative function, but the statistics in terms of the people that we talk to, seen, and not only us, the Project Management Institute also have published a few publications to support that view that in many organizations, the PMO value has been seen as an administrative function of reporting, basically. In order to be a partner or a strategic partner in your organization, to your organization, the first step is to transform the PMO to be from that administrative overhead or function, and that is related to that reporting function that we talked about. So before I actually start, I would really like to talk about the things that we are going to talk and show you today. First of all, establishing integration points without having to rely on technical people in your organization neural system. That is one of the key actions or tasks a PMO will need to take in order to transform their function from that administrative kind of overhead that I've described into the strategic partner. So first of all, get rid of that administrative overhead on your PMO. So you would have more time availability, resources to perform the next three items, which is uncovering trends and insight in your organization, project management competencies, whether this is schedule management, resource management, risks management, no matter what the case might be. Start looking at what PMO should really look at, managing, implementing frameworks, but identifying the bottlenecks in their processes and frameworks and why things are failing and how we can provide more project assurance in terms of the delivery of these projects to support the organization strategy. And finally, how do we then supply the organization with a proper analysis of where to invest and how to make sure that the strategic objectives required by the organization and the outcomes are being delivered through the investment in these projects. So if you would like, the first line will free the PMO from their, again, very big overhead. Again, not your PMO maybe, but lots of PMOs we see have that massive overhead of collecting data and presenting reports to different working groups and steering committees and execs and so on. How do we free ourselves from that task in order for us to evolve to the next level PMO and a strategic asset which would look at trend analysis and process bottlenecks and advise the organization in terms of strategic objectives and outputs. So obviously we at EPM Partners utilize Microsoft platform, and I dare to say that from my experience, and obviously this will sound like we're trying to use the Microsoft platform, but as far as I know, there is no other platform, namely the Microsoft Power Platform, that will enable us as PMOs to do what I'm going to show you today. Maybe there's others, but as far as I know, within the project portfolio management space, the project portfolio management solution provided by Microsoft on the Power Platform is the only platform that will enable us to do the first step, which is integration with different data sources. So before I get into that, the actual demonstration, I would just like to say that in many organizations, we have a picture like this, a neural system of different applications that the project managers and the people who are working on projects, SMEs, and it depends on the types of projects that you are looking after. Could be asset-related capital works type of projects related to physical construction, or ICT type projects related to the business enhancement and digitalization. But no matter what type of projects we're talking about, we will have a scattered data in our organization. This neural system of different Excel sheets, different Microsoft project files, P6, Oracle databases, SAP for financials. You might have Jira for iterative agile work management, Technology One, Ellipse, you name it. ServiceNow for ICT type of activities, business as usual, ticketing, help desk type of maintenance type of activities. You might have maintenance plans on Excel sheet, asset details if you're managing assets or your own assets, and so on. So the data that is related to the portfolio status of your projects will be scattered in your organization neural system. It is a fact, and it will not be changing anytime soon. I guess it's quite naive to assume that this will change in the future. It will have one big happy data warehouse where everyone using the same application, and this is actually not the right architecture for organization. And I hear a lot of people go, "Oh, look, my organization is a mess. We have all those applications that all sorts of people using. We don't have a kind of a consistent architecture with a consistent set of applications." I think it's unfair, because the reason why we have this multiple types of applications is that those applications are required by the people maintaining those and working on those entities, be it assets, projects, service requests, whatever the case might be. So the challenge we think will not change. This neural system and organization will always be there. So how do we go about making sure that all of these nodes, Jira, let's just take a couple of examples here. Jira and SAP and Excel are connected together in one source, one location, so you can remove that overhead to trying to query them manually every time, going to talk to the people and ask them to send you data in your via email, whatever the case might be, in order to compile an Excel sheet that then will be probably converted to a PowerPoint with nice graphics to be then reported to your working group. How do we then harness the data hidden or scattered in all these nodes without having to rely on a very big technical implementation? So the answer to this is using Microsoft, what's so-called the Common Data Service, CDS. It's part of what Microsoft called the Power Platform. And I will talk about, if you're interested in on the architecture, just briefly after I finish a quick demo on how you do this. So effectively, Microsoft had introduced this called the Power Platform. All the data live into one place that is dedicated for certain reason. So in your case, you might have created an environment. This is called CDS environments. And you might have created an environment for you for project portfolio management data. And then you will say, look, the entities that I would like to see in my CDS or Common Data Service are things like projects, like tasks, risks, you name it. The types of the entities that you want to have visibility to in terms of information, because you've been tasked as a PMO by your organization to give the organization visibility and control required, and that means reporting, obviously. So let's have a look at an entity called project. So this is obviously nothing a user will be able to do, but you as a PMO in your organization can have your own CDS, the Common Data Service, where you go, it's like your little own data warehouse, effectively. And you go, look, these are the entities that I'm going to manage. And as you can see, I'm not using any technical skills here in terms of coding. It's just, data kind of exploration and connection type of exercise. And here's if you'd like, the attributes around the entity project that you would like to maintain. So you look, for example, I would like to see a project start and finish date as an example. So this is where the fields, we call them fields, or attributes. There you go. Look, these are the things that I would like to gather information around: the cost estimate, the start and finish dates, who's the program manager, who's the designer. And obviously, you can create as many fields as you want, and you say, well, this is the data that I would like to collect from these different neural systems that we talked about, sorry, neural data nodes in my organization. So this is not where the data is being entered. This is where you create an entity as a bucket, if you'd like, and then you start creating the pipeline works into the different data nodes in your organization. Using that kind of concept of, I'm not going to go and ask people to come and input data in my solution or my application. I'll say, keep on using your Excel, keep on using your Jira, keep on using your Microsoft project, keep on using your smart sheets, keep on using your ServiceNow, whatever the application might be, either an individual application on a user's own machine, desktop or laptop, or an enterprise-wide application like Jira or SAP or DevOps or whatever the case might be. So again, this is not where the actual user will be entering data. This is where you maintain the data. And you can create views, by the way, say, okay, well, show me the data that I'm collecting right now against this entity called project. And you'll see, okay, well, these are the projects. All of them have the field called CAPEX category. All of them have a budget status, the year they belong to, apart from this particular project, for example, it doesn't have a year assigned to it. The project state and so on. Look, this table can go to the right, to hundreds of fields. But the idea here that the project data here are not entered directly to this area. One project data can come from Excel, while the other can come from SAP, while the other one can come from Jira. Obviously, I'm making examples here. They don't have to. They can all come from this one location. But again, that neural system of different data nodes might require different data sources. So after I created my data warehouse, effectively, these are the entity, projects, tasks, risks, issues, whatever. And I go, okay, well, these are the things that I want to have visibility to, a project stage and so on. How do I then connect to the different data sources? So first of all, you need to set up the connection. And this is, again, I'm promoting obviously Microsoft, but I'm genuine by saying I'm really not aware of any platform that will enable us in the project portfolio management space to do what I'm just going to do. So the first thing is creating connections to different data sources. So if I go create a new connection to my CDS, and then again, this is you as a PMO, no technical resource required. This is your own instance of CDS. And you'll see that the list of things that you can connect to is literally hundreds and hundreds of them. Microsoft and non-Microsoft applications, SharePoint, Outlook, Planner, Salesforce, OneDrive, Dynamics, SAP, Jira, ServiceNow, Ellipse, Technology One, you name them. There's like literally hundreds and hundreds of connections. And even the good old Excel, obviously Project, all of those Microsoft popular applications, Teams, and even other common data services or CDS implemented in your organization. So let's say the asset management or the business, whatever your the other parts of the business might be structured as, have their own instance of CDS and they maintain their own data that you might be interested in bringing into your own CDS. And you go, okay, I'm going to create a connection to their CDS. But given that the permissions have to be given to you, obviously, on all these connections. But again, look, I'm still going through the list, and as you can see, there's a huge list of it. Microsoft investing in creating those out-of-the-box gateways or connectors and make available for their clients, so their clients don't have to invest in writing those API calls and so on. Look, I'm not going to go through obviously the list. And just a note before I leave that, if you don't see the connection on the list of available connection, you can always create what's so-called a custom connector. But in that case, you do have to engage the technical people. They have to write it once for you, and it becomes available to reuse them in different data nodes. So after you create the connection, and again, I'll show you quickly how you create a connection. Let's start with Jira. As an example, how do I connect to Jira? You literally go and say, connect to Jira, give username and password, click create, and it will establish the connection for you. I'm not doing the data mapping yet, just bear with me. So this is just to establish those connections. You connect to SAP, same way. You connect to Oracle, same way. You connect to Excel, same way. So again, massive list of connections that you can connect to. Once you have the connection done, so if I go back to my connections, I have a few. I have one to another CDS. I have one to what's so-called Microsoft Project Planner. I have one to Excel. So I've established those connections. And then I go, okay, on that connection, I'm going to use Excel just to simplify the way that we're demoing the information. You don't obviously have Excel. So if, let's say, your organization use Excel, to maintain, and there is, no, by the way, not all of the users in your organization, some, and that's the whole concept of supporting different usage profile in your organization. Some a group of managers, team members, whatever you want to call them, use Excel as the choice of managing activities and the due date and the duration and the cost of these activities. Again, this is very obviously simple and basic representation of data. But let's say that you want to bring this data to your CDS, and it's an Excel sheet that is stored, or Excel sheets, and you can imagine this being risk registers in different locations, cost estimation sheets, resource plan sheets, no matter what the case might be. And you go, well, I would like to have access to this data, please. Okay, keep on using this. It's working for you as Steve's, but as a representation of the PMO, I would like to have access to your data. Not because I want to change it, but because I want to report it up to the organization so they can have that visibility and control. So how you do this? You simply go and say, I'm going to create a new data flow. And you go, the data flow will be based on an Excel, which again, I created the connection to. So I'm going to show you how I do this. I'm not going to go do the exercise end to end, but I go, I'm going to create a data flow. And let's say you're bringing resource information, tasks information. You just call it something. I'm going to call it tasks info from Excel. And this is for the ICT projects. Again, making examples here. You can call whatever you want. And you go create. And as you go create, okay, it goes, okay, well, which of your connections you want to bring the data from? So you've already established the connection, and now you go, okay, I want to bring the data from my Excel connection. It goes, okay, can you please point me to the exact Excel? Now I'm using OneDrive here to be the shared location, but it could be anything. It could be SharePoint, but I'll go with the OneDrive. Again, I'm trying to simplify this demonstration. It doesn't mean the capability is not there because we have only half an hour here. So I will just go and say, look, I'm going to point to that Excel sheet. And again, imagine this Excel sheet, different teams in your organization use it for different purposes. Resource management, cost management, time management, whatever the case might be. And imagine this Excel to be another application, Jira, SAP, Oracle, whatever the case might be. So again, the Excel here is being used for the ease of demonstration. And I go next, right? So I go connection, you use this credentials. Obviously, your credentials has to be authenticated to access this shared location, this enterprise application. And I go next. And that basically will go and say, okay, well, I have access to the data now. And again, imagine those tables, if you're using Jira, SAP, Oracle, these are the views of the tables that you can access to acquire the data, obviously, not edit them. And it goes, here's the table. And if you see it is the same data that was in the Excel sheet. And I go, look, I want to transform the data into my CDS. And one of the questions that this will ask you, do you want to create a new entity for those, or do you want to merge them to existing ones? So you go, you know what, first of all, it goes, oh, this is what you want to do. Yeah, this is what I want to do. This is your query. You go next. And then it goes, this is the mapping, right? So do you want to map into your existing entities? You go, yep, I want to map this to existing entities. I don't want this to be creating new entities for me. So you know how I showed you that project entity and we saw the data? This is why I go load to existing entity, and then you choose the entity. Well, in this case, it's not project, it's task. So I go map it to task. ST task. And it goes, okay, well, here's the available fields from the entity in your data warehouse against the entity task. And here's the fields available in the Excel sheet. You do the mapping for me. Obviously, I'm not going to do the entire mapping exercise. I'll probably show you a single field. I don't know why it's taking this time to bring the mapping table. It usually is not. And I know you're going to say that this is not true, but it is happening. Anyway, I'll just give it a bit of time. There we go. And this basically goes, these are the fields in the destination in your data warehouse where there's an entity called task. and these are the fields available. And then you tell me from your source, from Excel, what you would like to link it to. So look, just as a very simple, let's say that the finish start, what do we have? Do we have finish start here? Should have happened. There we go. Schedule end, schedule start. Let's say the schedule end is the due date, right? And I go, the due date is my schedule end, and so on. Look, I'm not going to go the entire mapping here, but basically, you go next, and then you can do auto map. We'll try to figure out based on the data format and the logic. We'll try to map it to your existing. But you go next. Whatever task include. Oh yeah, there's a matter that I have to. Anyway, I have to create a primary key. Look, I'm not going to go through the mapping because there's lots of fields. But if I'd done that, I would then go to next, and it would tell me what's the refresh rate. How frequent you want me to bring the data from this source, and you can go real time. Every time there's a data change there, bring it into my data warehouse, or every half an hour, or an hour, or 2 hours, whatever the case might be. And by doing this, if I go back to my picture here, I connect to everything in my organization, bring it into my own little data warehouse as a PMO, having the visibility, and then reporting. Obviously, you need to invest a bit onto reporting tool, like for example Power BI, and you start drawing those charts from the CDS, very visual stuff, and that overhead. Then you leave the users using their own tools, Excel, Jira, SAP, whatever. And you've developed a couple of dashboards, and that gap between operating tools, the Excel, the Jira, the Microsoft Project, the Microsoft Planner, the Microsoft Teams, whatever the case might be, and the requirement of visibility on the top down end, that overhead is gone for you as a PMO. People using their own tools, and my company, my organization is getting the visibility and control they task me to do. Obviously, maintenance will be required. Making sure the data is flowing, the reports, getting the right reports, security, some overhead, obviously not zero overhead, but some overhead would always be required. But you move it from spending like the way that we think it will work if you put it right, almost 80% reduction in that administrative overhead is gone. So by doing this, you can then turn your time and effort to look at things like trend analysis. So you start looking at, okay, well, I can see the data. Again, the data, we don't know. This is a list of, it's very simple, by the way, trend analysis, but you can take this concept to, bigger kind of ways of doing trend analysis. I'm not going to talk about data analysis here. So I think it's beneficial for PMO to invest in not only just reporting tools skills, but also data analytics concepts. But you have that overhead of collecting the data, to collect the information, as I said, reduced by almost 80%. Then you can spend time to go to your organization and start to understanding the trends. Look, this is just showing us projects and their statuses per month. So obviously not many trends you can get there. I mean, September, what did we have? Most of the degrees in September and the lowest of the reds in September. That's probably doesn't mean anything to us, but you can imagine demand on resources, investment decisions. Or in fact, if I go to the other one here, time that is spent in each phase, why are we spending most of the time here? Why this gate is taking us, most of the time, and closing project takes less, and how many things we're doing at any given time. And again, so you start doing proper analysis into the data that you currently, I'm assuming again, that's maybe not you as a PMO, but lots of PMOs are currently busy just collecting. So you move from collecting to analyzing the data. And then the last thing is the portfolio analysis. And you go, look, because of, I've been freed from doing all of this overhead of collecting data, I can go and advise my organization to select the right project. So this is a very simple example. I don't know if you belong to an ICT PMO or an EPMO or other type of PMOs, but I've just elected to use an ICT project type of analysis. Again, it doesn't have to be that way. And you go, look, all of these initiatives we have in our pipeline. You start helping the organization, aligning them to the strategy. And in my case, I'm using strategies in terms of objectives in the ICT space. So, the objective is that we support the customer to view all their services online, and the manager to able to conduct performance review systematically, and a salesperson, and so on. So again, they are all kind of IT related type of strategic objectives. So then you can help aligning the initiative to those objectives. And then after analyzing them, prioritizing them, and showing the organization after you prioritize them their investment in their strategy. So you go, look, you're investing nothing on this. So this is the light to blue bar represent the importance of that specific strategic objective. So for example, lower the operational cost assets by 20% is a very important strategic objective for us this quarter, this year, whatever your planning horizon might be. But using, again, my data analysis, I am seeing that you are not investing anything in the strategy, while you are overspending, if I look at this driver, on the improved community satisfaction. And then based on that, I can then do the analysis and go, look, my recommendation then to do this or that. Also, you can go and say the organization we all know that due to COVID-19, lots of budgets will be cut. And before COVID-19, these projects were proposed and we were fine. We did have it 2.2 million, but we don't have it anymore. So how do we optimally select investments in our organization to support the strategy? And the strategy also is changing. This is a very good kind of case to show these days with the COVID-19 situation that strategies of businesses will change. And as a PMO of this entity in the organization, the value is that, okay, I'm not going to just deliver data for you and information. I'm going to be actually the controlling or like the enabling function in the organization to execute a strategy, changing strategy, and align them to the actual investment in projects using tools like this. And again, the strategy has changed, so you right away update the drivers and then align those initiatives to the updated drivers. And then you go, okay, well, I can't spend that much. And you go, look, how much can you spend? And you go, look, from 2.2, I can only spend 1 million. And you go optimally calculate. The system will tell you, okay, if you only have $1 million, we'll recommend these initiatives. And someone comes and say, oh, no, but we'll have to do this one. And you go, force it in. And all of the, very valuable information to the C-level, if you have a kind of an exec C-level type of organizational structure, that then look at the PMO, and this is not the administrative function that will just get data for me. This is gone. They are a strategic asset, a strategic partner for us to support our investment and to enable us deliver our strategy to survive, to thrive. Depends on what kind of industry you're in these days. So that's really it. I hope it's delivered the promised, I guess, ideas and concept that I wanted to share with you. Hopefully, it was beneficial to any one of you. If you would like to hear more about either the technology, the PMO, the Power Platform from Microsoft and the CDS, or our services around it, obviously, or any. My name is Leif Adel. But reach out to us as a business. We're always happy to share the information, the experience that we have in the marketplace, talk to you and either hear from you and your experience in this space. It's very valuable. Most of the information we get is from our clients and the people that we know in this space, being clients or not, especially within these kind of circumstances with COVID-19. Again, thank you so much for attending, and hopefully it was beneficial to you all. Have a good day.